world of Eldermere was a land of endless enchantment, where the skies shimmered with floating islands and the forests whispered secrets to those who dared to listen. But beneath its beauty lay a darkness, an ancient force that had begun to stir, threatening to consume all magic in its wake. In the heart of this world stood two souls, destined for greatness, yet unaware of the trials ahead. Nidal Wonder, a young inventor with a mind sharper than the finest blade, had spent his life tinkering with gears and gadgets, believing logic could solve any problem. His creations were marvels, but they lacked one thing: the touch of the unknown, the spark of true magic. Across the realm, Faye Knighty, a rogue sorceress with a rebellious spirit, wielded powers she barely understood. Her magic was wild, untamed, and feared by many, but she refused to be bound by the rules of the old orders. Their paths were never meant to cross, yet fate had other plans. When the shadows of Eldermere began to spread, swallowing villages whole, Nidal and Faye found themselves drawn together by a prophecy older than time itself. A prophecy that spoke of two heroes, one of steel, one of spell, who would either save their world or watch it crumble. Neither trusted the other. Nidal saw Faye's magic as chaos, while Faye viewed Nidal's inventions as shackles to progress. But as the first whispers of war reached their ears, they had no choice. The journey ahead would test their limits, forge an unbreakable bond, and reveal secrets that could change everything. The story of Nidal Wonder and Faye Knighty was just beginning. The road from the quiet village of Elmsworth to the cursed ruins of Valthor's keep was long and treacherous. Nidal had mapped every possible route, calculating risks and supplies down to the last crumb of bread. Faye, on the other hand, walked with no plan, trusting her instincts and the flickering glow of her magic to guide them. Their first real test came in the form of the Hollow Marsh, a vast, mist-laden bog where the very air played tricks on the mind. Nidal's compass spun wildly, his gadgets failing one by one. Faye's spells flickered as if something was draining her energy. Shadows moved where there should have been none, and whispers echoed from the depths. It was here, knee-deep in murky water, that they had their first true argument. Nidal insisted they turn back, find another way. Faye refused, believing the marsh was a trial meant to be faced. The tension between them grew until at last they were forced to rely on each other. Nidal's quick thinking crafted a makeshift bridge from fallen branches, while Faye's magic illuminated the path ahead, revealing the hidden traps laid by ancient spirits. By the time they stumbled out of the marsh, exhausted but alive, something had shifted. They still bickered, still doubted, but there was a grudging respect forming. Nidal had seen firsthand the raw power Faye wielded, and Faye had witnessed the brilliance of Nidal's mind when pushed to its limits. The journey was far from over. Ahead lay the shattered peaks, where the winds could tear a man apart, and beyond that, the ruins where the first signs of the rising darkness had been spotted. But for the first time, they moved forward, not as strangers, but as reluctant allies. The ruins of Valthor's keep were worse than they had imagined. The stones themselves seemed to bleed shadows, and the air was thick with a malevolent presence. It was here that they faced their first true enemy, the corrupted creatures, once human, now twisted by the dark magic seeping into the land. Nidal's inventions were put to the test. His clockwork blades cut through the corrupted, but for everyone he struck down, 3 more emerged. Faye's magic burned bright, but each spell drained her, leaving her gasping for breath. They fought back to back, their earlier disagreements forgotten in the heat of battle. But the greatest challenge was not the monsters, it was the vision that awaited them in the heart of the ruins. A spectral figure, cloaked in darkness, showed them glimpses of the future, Eldamir in flames. The people they loved turned to dust, and worst of all, the revelation that one of them would betray the other. The vision shook them to their core. Nidal, ever the skeptic, tried to rationalize it as an illusion. Faye, however, had seen enough magic to know some prophecies were not so easily dismissed. Trust, so recently built, now teetered on the edge. They left the ruins in silence, the weight of what they had seen hanging between them. The road ahead was no longer just about stopping the darkness, it was about surviving each other. Nidal Wonder was not just an inventor, he was a visionary. Where others saw scraps, he saw potential. His greatest creation, the ether core, was a device capable of harnessing residual magic, though he refused to admit it was anything more than science. Faye Knighty was fire incarnate. Her magic was not the polished, controlled force taught in academies. It was raw, unpredictable, and terrifyingly powerful. She had been cast out for it, labeled a danger, but she wore her exile like armor. Where Nidal sought order, Faye embraced chaos, believing true strength came from surrendering to the unknown. Together, they were a paradox. Nidal grounded Faye, giving her magic direction. Faye, in turn, forced Nidal to see the world beyond his blueprints. Their differences were their greatest strength. When Nidal's machines failed, Faye's magic prevailed. When Faye's spells burned too wildly, Nidal's inventions stabilized them. They were two halves of a whole, though neither would admit it. The darkness was growing. Whispers spoke of an ancient warlock rising, his influence spreading like poison. If Nidal and Faye survived their trials, they would face a choice: unite the fractured kingdoms of Eldamir or fall divided. Nidal's inventions could revolutionize the world, but only if he learned to embrace magic. Faye's power could tip the scales of war, but only if she mastered control. Their journey was far from over. Perhaps they would find the lost city of Elthar, where the first spells were woven. Perhaps they would awaken the slumbering guardians of old. Or perhaps they would fail, and the world would drown in shadow. Only time would tell. The story of Nidal Wonder and Faye Knighty was more than a tale of heroes and villains. It was a story of trust forged in fire, of two souls who defied fate simply by standing together. As they stood on the edge of the unknown, the winds of Eldamir howling around them, they made a silent pact. No matter what came, betrayal, war, or the end of all things, they would face it side by side. For in a world of magic and machines, of logic and chaos, they had found something rare. They had found each other, and that changed everything. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to